Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. I'm still Matt. This is Josh.
Hello.
Well done, Josh. You're getting very well trained at that now.
I
And
can almost every
Lewis?
time.
You say almost every time. You've never missed it. He just makes it up.
I completely mix it
I'm
up.
sure I missed it once.
I throw so much variety in. It's like you don't even know what's coming at the start of episodes nowadays. It's just like I'm flying off the walls with creativity.
I could say anything.
Absolutely anything.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
Well, I tell you who I don't know. What I don't know, some of us is going to say that makes English.
You're a professional speaker.
I'm a professional speaker. Talking of not knowing what someone is going to say, there we go. Got better at it. Second time around. Lewis, I hear you've got some feedback from the last two episodes.
It's three very small pieces of feedback. Right. Most of them are definition corrections, flubs in what I actually meant to say, and I want to correct Matt because he's a dumbass.
I mean, that's not the first time you would have had to have done that.
So
I'll just explain quickly, though. The reason why we're doing a feedback for two is because we recorded 2 episodes last week, and that's the reason why.
Yeah, we didn't give feedback on last episode because we couldn't have listened to it in time.
Exactly.
So, first correction, defamation is a catch-all term. So if it's written defamation, it's libel, and if it's spoken, it's slander. But
that's
both count as defamation.
For, yeah. Okay, sorry, I was thinking, it's libel versus slander. That's the one, sorry.
We kept saying defamation, and if I knew that distinction, it would have really annoyed me. We were correct, but we're more correct.
There was some lawyer out there just going, it's not defamation, you're talking about libel.
No, it's still defamation, though, so don't panic.
Okay, well, they're both forms of defamation, but I was thinking I meant to say libel versus slander, not defamation versus slander, sorry. Anyway, carry on.
Second point of correction is I said the Dunning-Kruger curve has like an asymptote. Doesn't. It just has a local minimum. That's what I meant instead.
I'll tell you what, I have no idea what you just said.
Shout at me.
Okay.
Doesn't asymptote. And last piece of correction is the one that really is going to get Matt going. You were wrong.
I mean, I'm wrong a lot of the time. I mean, half this podcast is us trying to talk about things that we think we know a lot about, but really know absolutely nothing about, and then have to correct ourselves profusely in the next episode, because it's only then that we realize how much of a stupid little idiot we are. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I was wrong. Right, what was I wrong about this week?
I was right.
Oh god, that's what I love the most.
The Bloody Baron quest is a main quest and not a side quest. Oh. According to the Wikipedia page, it is. So it looks like it's not a side quest. Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. According to Wikipedia, what does it say in the game?
Wikia.
What does it say in the game?
I can't check because I've already finished the quest.
Yes, so have I, but I'm going to check up on a gameplay for next episode, and I'm going to finalise this once and for all and see whether... Because I'm fairly certain that in the game it says that it's a side quest and not a main quest.
But would its categorical definition change the fact it's a mandatory quest? Therefore, making it a main quest.
Because that was my whole thing last week, was I was saying, yeah, you may think it's a main quest, and it may be mandatory, but strictly speaking, still a side quest.
I don't
was my
like
whole thing.
These technicalities. I'm not a guy for them.
says the most pedantic one out of the three of us.
Well, that's my role on the show, is to be sort of hard line, no sort of mixing words,
no
mincing words. Like I'm right, and if I'm not right, there's a definitive reason as to why I'm not right. Personal opinions be damned. The Witcher is good enough for Josh to play.
It is. Talking of games and whether or not you're good enough to play them, and this was one of the things I actually wanted to bring up, because you're finished now with the feedback, aren't you, Lewis?
Unless we want to shout about defamation some more, yeah, I'm pretty done.
All right, awesome. So one of the things I was going to talk about this week is I recently downloaded, and I'm currently about, well, let's see, how many hours into it am I? I'm going to guess about 10. I would assume. Let me see. I am currently 8 hours in. Close enough. into the latest Star Wars game, Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order.
I was thinking of picking it up, and then I realised it was £50 and thought, nah.
Yeah, I waited until student finance enabled me to buy it. Basically, I waited until because basically, like, okay, not to get off the point too much, but basically, student finance England, they give you money throughout the year because they don't trust students with a whole load of money at the start of the year because we're idiots. So I waited until that money came through until I eventually had some sort of, capital with which to buy it.
Yeah,
I have to say, I was somewhat surprised. I was surprised in the sense that I was not shocked, but I was surprised in the games that had clearly influenced this one.
I mean, it's a Soulsborne game, right?
Yes, it's basically I would describe it as Dark Souls meets Uncharted in a Star Wars veneer. Basically, with a lightsaber, But actually, no. Tell you what it is. So no, it's Dark Souls meets Sekiro meets Uncharted in a Star Wars veneer. That's what it is.
Yeah.
If anything, I would compare it to Sekiro. Because Josh, you would attribute this the parrying.
It doesn't
not yet
really
got
have
it properly
parrying
down,
though, does it?
Yeah, no, it does. Most of the combat is literally about parrying.
Is it really? I thought it was just like you block bullets and you kind of dodge around enemies.
Oh no! Even with blocking bullets, you try to parry bullets to block them back at the enemy.
Oh, so it's like a perfect time thing to actually
it's time sequencing a lot. Yeah, and I'm not really good with it yet, and its difficulty is harder than I thought. Yeah. And I've persevered though, because when I was younger, I don't think I would have played a game like this because it would have infuriated me too much. Because it's actually quite difficult at points. Because
have you committed to getting good at video games as opposed to putting them down and playing FIFA?
I actually have. I am for anyone that's wondering, I've gone back to Zepho for the second time, and I'm currently trying to face off against the second sister. For I suppose the second time, because the first time you fight her is at the start of the game, but you fight her for like all of 2 seconds before you go to a cutscene because you're nowhere near being able to beat her. But
I don't like games that do that.
Yeah,
I'd like to. I'm not going to say realistically. I would like to conceivably, if you put me against the boss, I want to physically be able to beat the boss,
even if you're not supposed to.
Yeah. So I'll give an example. We'll get back to Star Wars in half a second. So there's a game called Blue Dragon. I've played it. There's some stuff. At the beginning of the game, you fight a boss, and you literally can't beat the boss because it will always be able to hit you and kill you, and like take you down, and that's fine. Until you do New Game Plus, where that boss isn't scaled, so you literally can't die, and you can die, but you have to let him kill you, because you do max damage to him at any given point, 5 times per turn, and he can't touch you. And it's just that this tedious wait for it to end, as opposed to just like, no, just let me kill the boss. Let me just like finish this off and like have a unique cutscene.
I can definitely see you being the one that wants to try to kill the boss first time round, even if you can't.
I wouldn't do it. Like, you can do it, things like that in Bloodborne, where you can beat the entirety of Bloodborne by never dying. I believe.
Really?
Yeah, because I could be wrong. I haven't checked. Speaking out my ass.
Can you play Dark Souls and complete it all without dying?
Yes, yeah. There's a distinction in Bloodborne though, because at the beginning of Bloodborne you spawn in without any weapons.
Right.
You have to walk down some stairs or walk up some stairs into a sick bay, and there's a werewolf there for you to kill, and you can kill it with your fists, but it's really, really hard. And when it kills you, you get sent to Hunter's Dream, and you can pick up some weapons, and the game starts. Like that's actually where you're meant to play from, and you can kill that enemy. But then you have to play the game without weapons until you eventually die.
Oh, damn.
So I believe it's possible to beat the game from that position. But you can never level up. You can never gain new weapons or armor or any of that.
Do you never get access to Hunter's Dream?
You have to die to get access to it.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought, like,
So basically, try to play it without dying actually handicaps you.
Yes, you have to have a story death, but I think you can do it without dying. Because I don't think there's any point in Bloodborne where you're forced to teleport.
Really?
I could be wrong, but I haven't encountered one. And
that's actually one thing that's not in Jedi. In the latest one, there is no fast travel at all.
I can get that. Because in Dark Souls 3, you force teleports everywhere. You have to go to what's it called, Fireside Link.
Well, what I mean, you travel between planets on your ship, the Mantis. Yeah. But once you land on that planet, you go everywhere. You can't fast travel anywhere. And I was actually pleasantly surprised at how much exploration there is in the game. Most of the time you spend in the game is just exploring.
How big are the areas? Like the actual areas on the planets?
I don't know, because I haven't even unlocked them. But I think they're pretty damn big.
I really want to get this game. Now that you're talking about it, I really want to play it, and people say it's really good.
It is actually really good. First of all, it looks stunning. I am using it on my laptop, which got I think it's running a 1060 Ti, and I'm having to run it on the lowest graphics, which is medium, by the way. They don't go any lower than that.
That's low then.
But they go medium, high, ultra. Those are the 3 graphic settings.
Oh,
that's weird labeling.
I know, it's very bizarre. But anyway, so I'm running on the lowest graphics, and it still looks absolutely splendid. So God knows what it's going to look like when I get back to my actual PC and run it on a full 1080, and it's just going to look gorgeous.
You think you'll still be playing it, Benno?
Oh yeah. Apparently it takes a standard 30 to 40 hours to complete the game, and that's without actually trying to 100% it.
That's not very long.
Well, I mean, that is for most games.
It's not about the length of the game, though.
It's about the quality time you spend in it. It's not about size. It's about how you use it.
It is.
Jesus Christ. Right.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about game length.
Yeah. Exactly. It's all about quality over quantity, guys. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, there's an awful lot of exploration in the game. As for the size, I can't tell you, because I haven't managed to. Because the problem is basically you are given a whole load of worlds, but you don't gain full access to them in the first round on that planet. If it makes sense. So you'll start on one planet, and then you have to travel to another planet, but you won't have fully accessed that full planet's map on the first one, and you'll have to go back.
I don't know how I feel.
I can only get so erect. This is the exact kind of game I want to be playing right now.
I don't know how I feel about just being locked off.
And the combat is actually very satisfying. It's not like, because what I say is, it's not like. So I take it both of you have played Force Unleashed. 1 or 2 either.
I mean, that was a power fantasy game. And it was
it was a power fantasy game, and you remember, I assume, what it was like to run across a few little measly stormtroopers in that game, and how you just pathetically laughed at their meager existence because you could just wave one button at them and then they would all immediately cease to exist.
I mean, the whole point of coming across 3 stormtroopers was to mess around with them. You would grab them with force pulls and throw them at other enemies, and then and
levitate and levitate. I used to do a sort of Hulk versus Loki thing, except with the Force, where you just pull them up into the air, smash them against the walls, back and forth, and then just slam them into the ground.
I'm glad you explained that, because I had no idea what you meant when you said Hulk versus Loki at first.
Yeah, but I take it you got what I meant.
Yeah, I'm. Some would say a diehard MCU fan.
Oh. But I did I also liked, I have to say, holding them up into the air, force lightning them, and then just pushing them off a mountain, and just seeing them fly off into the distance, electrocuted to death.
Grabbing
in this game,
a TIE fighter as well, and just throwing that.
As well, yeah. But in this game, it is very, very different.
It's Soulsborne, so it's not actually. It's made by not.
It's more like Sekiro, I would say, than anything. It's more like Sekiro, I'd say, than anything.
It's quite
basically, you can get killed by anything and everything in this game, and let me tell you, you will. I swear to God, on Zepho, there are these freaking rat things. I have never been so pissed off at a rat-like creature in my life.
Gosh. Just to interrupt you here, Matt. he's encountered the Soulsborne issue. Rats and animals are evil bastards that will continuously come for you.
I hate them.
They're not.
They
so
pop
bad.
out of nowhere, and they're just like. The thing is, like, it's not like because, like, with a hard boss, it's not actually. I find it's infuriating when you get killed because it's like you feel like they're supposed to kill you, and it's supposed to be difficult. With these rat things, they're just easy enough that you're like, come on, Matt, you should be killing these in your sleep. What's wrong with you? Anytime you even get hurt by them, you're like, come on, Matt, what are you doing?
Okay.
And if you ever run across them whilst you're on low health, you're like, I swear to God. Because this is another thing. You don't automatically gain your health back. You have a health bar, which you can obviously upgrade throughout the game, as practically every game you can.
It uses
with the health bar, you so do
kits.
you remember I don't know what they're called in Sekiro, those like health things you can take?
Yeah, the healing gourd, I think.
Or the Estus vials, or
anyway,
or the Estus potion or blood vials or any of that.
Yeah. They're called stim packs in this game, and your droid gives
you say that as if that isn't a common term.
What, stim
they're
packs?
Not called
stim packs.
That's what they're called in this game.
I've never heard that before.
Actually, no, sorry, stim is using other ones as well, isn't it? Sorry,
I Fallout uses stim packs.
I forgot, yeah.
Stim packs are also just real things.
Basically, they heal you a certain amount, and again, you can upgrade how much they heal you in the game as well, and you get given 2 at the start of the game, and that's it. So obviously, once you've used up those 2 stims and you get onto low health, there's nothing you could do apart from find a bonfire equivalent. It's like a meditation point, which is basically just a bonfire from Souls. And
Except
then you can
can't
rest
teleport
up.
From it.
No, you can't teleport from it, but you can use it to rest and spend any skill points you have, and then once you leave, if you've rested, it's a level up station, and also once you've rested, you regain all your stim packs, and you gain back all your health.
And it respawns all enemies.
Oh, and it respawns all enemies. Yeah,
that is literally just describing Star Wars Dark Souls.
I'm literally describing Star Wars Dark Souls with Sekiro parrying combat stuff and Uncharted moving about.
You know that Dark Souls has parrying, right?
Well, it doesn't rely on it as much as Sekiro does, though.
No.
In Sekiro, an awful lot of the combat is just centered around being able to parry well. And it's the same in this game, basically. Like, in this game, the combat in 5 seconds... A rundown of the combat in 5 seconds is basically light attack, heavy attack, parrying, dodge.
Oh, man, you convinced me to buy it.
Dodge is basically only used when the enemies highlight red and it's an attack you basically can't block. Apart from that, you parry everything.
That is exactly Sekiro, actually. Like, there are times when
and I mean, like, you can, and
symbol.
also you can use force abilities, but they're nowhere near as like. First of all, you start off with practically no force abilities whatsoever, because basically the context of the start of the game is you are a guy who was a Jedi Knight who was trained up in the Jedi Council on Coruscant, but then went through the purge. Execute Order 66, and your master gets killed. And you are then left as a refugee hiding out in the galaxy, trying to desperately survive against the Empire without being detected. And so, obviously, good question. Don't know, actually. But because of that, obviously, you have got quite disconnected from the Force during this time. And so you don't have many Force abilities at all at the start of the game. In fact, the only thing you have at the start of the game is being able to slow things down slightly. And then after that, you manage to gain Force Push, and that's all I've got so far.
Force Push seems really fun to use.
Force Push and slow stuff down slightly. And even then, you can't use it indefinitely, because you have a Force Bar that dwindles down in combat when you use it, and then you have to gain it.
Would call this a mana bar.
Yeah, and then you basically have to... the only way you can then gain it back is to parry stuff. If you parry stuff, you basically gain Force back. So it reinforces even more the need to be able to parry well. And on higher difficulties, like, first of all, the highest difficulty is basically just for sadists and masochists.
Oh god, there's difficulty settings.
Oh yeah, there's difficulty settings.
I can't buy it now because I'm going to play it on the hardest one.
Oh, no, Lewis, don't. The top difficulty is for masochists. He
said don't, Josh. You know what I'm going to do, right?
Oh, for God's sake.
But in the type of game that it
Josh,
is,
Lewis, you have to believe me. You will just die infinitely on highest difficulty.
Okay, right. So here's the thing. It's essentially £55.
Because the parrying window. Because the parrying window is just stupidly minute on ultimate difficulty. Not only that, but the enemies are so aggressive, they just stick to you like white on rice. They just don't leave you alone. So if you're wanting to just run through an area that you've already been through and just miss all the enemies, good luck with that, because they won't leave you.
Matt, you're going to buy this game for me, and so is Josh.
Why?
Well, you may recall that you both owe me some money.
Oh, yes, true.
It shockingly comes to the amount I'm missing in my Steam wallet to buy this game.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to add to cart.
You get to play this game.
Purchase for myself.
Are you actually buying it right now?
Yeah. I'll download it because I'll do this podcast, I'll go and study, do my exam, and then I'll come back, I'll be able to play it.
Right, okay.
It's apparently going to take 9 days to install.
That's not true.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's so large.
How big's the game?
It's quite a lot.
48?
It's quite a lot.
That's not too bad.
It's not too much, but it's a fairly decent sized amount. It took me about
when I inevitably surpass you.
I'm expecting you will. And not only that, but I'm expecting
you comp me the rest of the cost, right? You'll like buy the game for me.
Wait. This is not how this works, Sunshine. Just because you get further ahead of me in the game doesn't mean I buy it off you.
I actually don't know if I will get further ahead in the game. No, definitely not by next week, because I got like a load of stuff to do over the next week. So maybe I'll catch up to you. I doubt it. You've got more free time than me at the moment.
Well, not too much, but I suppose. I need to stop playing it so much, because I've played over 8 hours of it in like 2 days.
What a lightweight.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've not been completely addicted to it and have played it for 12 hours straight. Sorry,
Matt,
I know.
Let me tell you something.
Rookie numbers.
Just since I woke up today, I've played 262 minutes of NGU Idol.
Oh, I downloaded that, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I got to the small... was it the small rat?
That is boss 4, is it not?
I believe so.
Okay.
And I don't know how to get past it. Because I don't know how to level up any further.
You put energy into your basic training.
Sorry?
You put energy into your basic training, and then use that to gain more stats, and then eventually you rebirth, and that gives you more power. And you just keep doing it for a while.
I was going to say, do you just have to keep rebirthing?
Yeah, rebirthing is like the mechanic.
Okay, right. Okay,
So many things
because I wasn't sure
rebirth.
if that was what I needed to do. Right. Okay. Now that you've told me that, that's what I thought.
Don't just frivolously spam it. You want to gain like it will tell you like a number. It will say you will be X times stronger if you rebirth now. So you want that to be positive.
You basically just rebirth only once you've maxed out everything, right?
Yeah. So later on, that isn't quite the case. But at your stage, it's basically rebirth to gain the most stats possible.
Right. Ah. Okay.
And then you'll hit a wall.
Wait.
And
hang
then
on.
Josh
What?
will give you a hand.
Hang on. I was only at millions before. For some reason, I suddenly got 85 billion HP.
It's an idle game. It does stuff when it's closed.
Oh wait, really?
Yes.
How many hours have I put into this then?
Only
it
won't like mark them down, but basically the first time you opened it up when it was downloaded, it's been running ever since.
Oh.
Some things won't change, so it won't move energy around or anything, but it will constantly add things to that. This is why it's so addictive, Matt, because you'll go to bed and you'll wake up with progress.
Oh, for God's
You've
sake.
done nothing, and you've gained something.
Okay, I'm just about to defeat an orc.
You're going to be doing that for a while. Like, it genuinely, you don't make any progress in this game.
I've just defeated the orc.
Yeah, you'll make that kind of progress. Josh, help me out here. What do I mean?
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. I'm not going to defeat this guy anytime soon. 1.016 trillion HP.
Each boss is about 10 times stronger than the last.
Yeah.
Also,
it takes ages.
I've played for 420 days. I haven't reached the end of the content yet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What's
right,
your
and I want to
HP?
point out, I play more optimally than Josh does.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, so hang on. So what are your stats currently then?
What's
your
kind
HP?
of stats? Oh, 7.2. It keeps going up. 7.235 octogentillion. Hang on, I'll go into scientific. It'll be easier. 7.256 plus 243 HP. It doesn't mean anything though, because that's also being divided by like a huge amount, and I can't remember where to find it because I'm in evil mode. So I'm in the mode that's harder than your mode.
Oh,
where is it? Just like attack and defense. Yeah, that's being divided by 1 times e to the 32.
Oh Jesus!
It's just the way that the game works. Is because you constantly. Is what it takes a while. I've played for over a year, Matt. I'm gonna have higher stats than you.
I mean, that's not really that surprising.
Like, I've got every mechanic. I've beaten the Exile. Josh, I've beaten the Exile, which means in like 2 weeks, when the new mechanic comes up, I can immediately do it. This is me being excited for no reason. This game has so many, like, I said I could go on about this for 2 hours, and I probably can, but the game is so phased. So at your phase, you're thinking, okay, so the number that you gain on rebirth is pretty good, and your attack and defense matter. Turns out, neither of those things matter. That's a discovery you'll make later. You won't believe me at the moment, because you'll actually be dependent on them. But soon your adventure stats will be the limiting factor. So you'll care about those a lot. And then it will be your blood magic, and then your wand use, and then your NGUs, and then your progress will be determined by the Infinite Tower, and then it will be determined by quests, and then hacks, and then wishes, and then whatever comes after that, and then MacGuffins. Like, you constantly get these new features, which would change how you play in distinct ways. But I will just say, and this will be the last thing I say on this without prompting, you kind of have to think about it a little bit. Like, just a little. Not much. But you need to do a bit of maths.
Oh, I don't like math.
It's nothing major, but it's sort of like identifying where you're not gaining lots of stats, or where you could gain lots of stats quickly, and then doing that.
Oh, Jesus.
Or like, looking at sort of long-term cost or short-term cost. For example, your MacGuffins level up faster by doing 30-minute rebirths, but your net long-term progress is better over 24-hour rebirths at my stage. At your stage, don't worry about it. Because you gain XP, and you have Yggdrasil, which is a fruit that gives you things every 24 hours. There's a lot to consider. I'll send you a guide that might help.
That might be helpful. I feel like I'm going to need it.
Josh doesn't look at the guide. He's so adamant he doesn't need it.
Why do I feel like you've roped me into
I
this
just don't
simply so that
care
I
enough.
end up doing mental arithmetic?
It's nothing but mental arithmetic. Like, a lot of the things on here are quite useful because, like, you could spend 12 hours figuring out the optimal ratio for magic, energy, and resource 3 or whatever. Or you could look on the guide because someone's done it for you. You'll come to the same decisions. It's an idle game. Don't think about it too much.
Fair enough.
This guide is very good. I do recommend it. Josh is being stubborn.
I'm not being stubborn. I just don't care enough.
Also, the guide is useless at my stage.
Can we just also say that this is the same Josh that earlier said that he had the ability to watch a show that Lewis wanted him to watch. He just didn't want to.
No, I just entirely forgotten about it. I'd watched a different show that he said we should watch.
That's true. Next week people will be talking about Red vs. Blue, season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been told that I am to watch. Not that I can. I am to watch season 1.
It'll take like an hour. So
yeah,
you know,
it shouldn't
people
hopefully take that
watching
long.
or listening.
It's a pretty easy watch.
I need to watch more Witcher as well because I still haven't watched past the first episode.
Wow.
Oh, talking of that though. Oh, this is something I actually wanted to talk about though. Oh, this annoyed me, and this has annoyed a lot of people online. Have you heard about Entertainment Weekly's review of The Witcher?
Are you living a month in the past?
Okay, I might be. It's just about they didn't even watch it.
They watched like an episode and they like skimmed through it or something.
They watched up.
They gave it a negative review. Like, I'm confused. What's happening here? This might be misogynist. And it's like, wait, hang on. That's not what this show is about.
Basically, for those that don't know, like me, up until a few days ago,
I won't put a link to this article in the description because I don't want to give them the clicks.
basically, and it was Entertainment Weekly, I think. Basically,
It was Entertainment Weekly.
Had a review of The Witcher come out, and they didn't like it, which is fair enough. The problem was that in the article, this is the bit I don't understand. Why would you say this in the article? Like, why would you give up the game that quickly? They basically admitted in the article they watched, I think, up until about episode 3, then skipped forward to episode 5, and then didn't watch anything past episode 5.
No, they watched 1, 2, 5, and then skipped 3 and 4, which I think 3 and 4 are Yennefer episodes, which contextualize everything else.
They did 1 and 2, skipped 4, they skipped to 5, and then didn't watch anything past 5. And how many episodes are there past 5?
8. I wouldn't. Well, there's 3 after 5. Well,
okay,
there's 6, 7, 8. 5 is the worst episode of the series as well, so they weren't doing themselves any favors.
Fantastic. So they missed out. So they missed out on 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. So they basically missed out on 5 of the 8 episodes. So they didn't watch a majority of the show, and then they go and proceed to tell the internet how much they don't like it. It's like, come on, this is what I'd expect from some banal YouTube site out in the middle of nowhere that has no real opinion at all. It's like, you're an actual, magazine that is trusted by, people that are actually adults with money.
I don't think that was in the magazine.
Okay, fair enough. But even so, you're a trusted, reputable site. How are you putting out a review for a show that you haven't even watched a majority of it?
I mean, I can tell you why they did it.
Because they can't be bothered?
Oh, no, because easy clicks. You say, I don't like The Witcher, and then you write an article that says you didn't even do the due diligence, gets posted on the Witcher subreddit, which is full of, rabid fans.
That's true.
And then everyone goes and clicks on it, and you make a load of money.
I mean, basically,
you sacrifice your,
integrity. You sacrifice journalistic integrity, but you gain clicks. What a world we live in, eh?
But the thing is that, you don't care. When the next series comes out and you look for reviews, you'll probably end up clicking on it if it's,
and
something you're interested in.
And nothing really major long term is going to happen from this, repercussions wise. For them.
I mean, this is why I advocate not using sites for reviews, particularly. Well,
YouTubers are typically
Well, what tomatoes
you want to find? No, that's a bad idea, Matt. Shut up. You're wrong. What you want to do is you want to find, say, 5 people whose opinions and they're sort of
if they don't like it, you won't like it, and vice versa.
Yeah. If their ranking of films lines up with yours, or
even if you just understand why they like
basically only trust the opinions of those that have a similar opinion to you in terms of what they like in their movies.
That's not what I was saying. What I'm saying is you want to have someone who is parallel to you in some regard. So,
okay,
Matt, let's say, for example, you like Jedi the Fallen Order, right? And I play Jedi the Fallen Order, and you rate it a 9, and I think it's a 2 out of 10 game. Relatively, that gap is a 7.
Yeah.
Right? Or it's the inverse. And then you do a different game, and you say, oh, it's a 1 out of 10 game, and I think it's an 8 out of 10 game. Well, it's fine, because we're generally opposites of each other. So I can pretty much always trust the opposite of what you say, which means I can trust you.
Yeah.
So if I love a film, you'll hate it. If you hate a film, I'll love it.
Yeah, because the people aren't, homogenous. You don't have to like the same films.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
If your
I get that point,
opinions, parallel each other in some way...
I don't think we generally have that just vastly...
No, I'm not saying
this
is an example.
Opinion, yeah.
I think generally I like harder games than you, but I also think that I'm able to put up with more tedium than you are.
Probably, yeah.
Because second monitor really comes in handy.
It really does. I mean, if I had a second monitor, I'd be so much better at playing these sort of tedious games, but having a laptop currently, I just can't.
Yeah, you get an iPad or something and put it on the side, but then you have to have an iPad, which is more expensive than another monitor, so...
Yeah, which makes no sense. Yeah, especially for the fact that I'm going to have a second monitor back along with the first monitor when I get back home.
Just prop your phone up on a book.
Oh, my phone's really small, though.
I do actually have a phone, but the problem is it's not really that great. And also, the point of having 2 monitors is the fact that they're both connected to a computer that has the same audio source, which means that you can listen to the game and whatever else you're listening to without.
It's the thing that screws me up by playing Bloodborne. Is I want to listen to music and play Bloodborne.
Yeah.
and I can't. I have to either play Bloodborne or listen to music.
That sucks.
Same with Spider-Man. Is because the worst part is I don't actually have a TV in my flat at the moment because I'm back at uni and I decided to bring my PS4 with me. Here's a tale for the ages. I was gonna play Bloodborne for like the last 4 weeks, like over time, and try and beat it by like nowish.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a butt in that set. Yeah, I was going to say I sensed the butt in that sentence.
It was
you
a real
left your
like...
controller at home.
All right, I'm going to tell you the full story of this traveling. So here's what happens. My mum said, I'll take you back, which she always does, but it's a formality at this point. And I say, okay, we should leave on at this day, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm free then. So I pack all my stuff.
You got the train.
Pardon?
I thought you got the train.
No. Carrying stuff back with me. I brought a PC back.
Oh, fair enough.
And she's like in town anyway because she was visiting a friend. Because she's from Birmingham and Nottingham's only an hour away from there. So when she's visiting old friends, she just loops around and picks me up.
I just can't be asked to take my computer all the way back from Swansea every time I go back home.
The difference is Nottingham to wherever we live is not as far as Swansea to wherever we live. And also,
that's true.
Yes, wherever we live is a very descriptive place. You're right. I've already said Castle Park.
You completely doxed us. Yeah, we live somewhere that's far away from Swansea and has a castle.
Yeah,
which really isn't that impressive. It really isn't that descriptive of a term, given that Britain basically has every other town basically has a castle,
or at least a little fort that they'll call a castle.
Yeah. I mean, hell, Swansea has a castle, and it's basically just like 2 brick walls. Literally, if you go, because I was like, oh, do you want to go? Because at one point I was like, oh, and here's Swansea Castle, and I was like, oh, cool, because I'm used to like when I visit castles, being like, oh, there's an actual castle there. You can go up on the ramparts and etc. Literally, you go to Swansea city centre, and the castle, so to speak, is literally like a single tower that's probably only like 10 foot tall and 2 walls, and that's it. And it's like, well, I guess that's a castle now.
There's only 2 walls.
Well, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but there is no castle to speak of.
It's
really.
just a room.
There's certainly no structure. It's not even a room.
Oh,
it's not even a fully built building with actual walls. It's just like a wall or 2. And just it's enough that you can tell that there was something there, but not enough to be like, that's a castle. It's more just like, that's just a little bit of ancient monument. Okay. Well, not monument, but like, you get the idea.
So I took my computer back with me. So I had to take it back up. I had to.
Isn't that like really cumbersome to try and take that back all the time? Because like with all the cables
I go
and
back
everything?
Once a year. I go home for Christmas, so I live here most of the time. So
what about and the summer?
And the summer, yeah, that's twice a year, Matt. It's like I'm already coming back.
I can't be asked. Just for Christmas.
Is it that much of a hassle? You just pop it in the back.
Well, because there's the computer, there's all the monitors, there's all the cables, there's just everything, and
the cables can fit in a bag.
Well, I think it's just probably more the fact that trying to pack up with my parents is like the ultimate stressful.
This is the difference, right? This is also why the issues come into play. So with you, your parents are like constantly like harassing you to make sure you've got things and whatever. And I made it clear to my parents, just let me deal with this. It will be easier. Imagine you're a taxi, and you just wait for you to pack all the stuff up.
When I say my parents, though, I just mean my mum. Like, oh my god!
Yeah,
honestly, Lewis, you should have seen my mum when we were packing up to leave Swansea after the end of second year. You would have been just dying of laughter. Like, literally, like...
I really wish you would record them. Not for, like, the public or anything, just so I could, like, watch it back and be like, man, my mum's a pretty good person.
Me and my brother have multiple times been in the back of the car and something's kicked off. And we are literally sat there in the back seats going, we should probably record this. This will go viral on the internet. Like, it's just so bad. Like, the thing is, though, it's not even like they're getting stressed over actual, like, stressful things. My mum has a somewhat amazing ability to be, and I've told her this to her face multiple times. She has this somewhat innate ability, remarkable, like no one else I've ever met, and probably ever will, she has somewhat of a remarkable ability to be able to make any situation, no matter how banal the situation may be, into the most stress-filled ordeal you could possibly imagine. Like, for instance, she gets it. So first of all, she and Dad drove down in separate cars when she came down to pick me up because I had so much stuff to bring back.
How?
And, well, a couple of suitcases. Well, when I say everything, I mean like everything, because I was obviously not going to be staying there next year, so like everything.
Well, okay, so this might be an interesting point then, because I'm able to bring all my stuff back in one carload, and we have enough space that like marigolds and wherever, and it's on the way back from Nottingham, so we picked her up and brought her back. So
yeah, no, I have a fair bit. Well, I mean, I have my computer, monitors, cables, all of my obviously, but clothing, bedding, all my kitchen stuff, the PS4, all my books, all my studying stuff.
Most of this sounds like it would fit in like boxes. Like, how many shirts do you take? I take like 10 shirts.
Honestly, it was basically just the amount of like cardboard boxes full of stuff that I was taking back with me, and I can't even remember what all of them were filled with. But like, it was mainly just that. But anyway, this is besides the point. To be fair, when I came down to Swansea at the start of first year, everything was in one car. It was barely in one car, but it was in one car.
And then you accumulated like 2 things while you were there, and it like all stacked up over time.
Yes, basically. Yeah. Over 2 years' worth, it's now an extra carload.
Well, I guess first year you don't take books with you. You buy books out there. And now you've ended up with like 6 massive books to bring home.
Oh, more than 6. I've got a miniature library. Yeah.
No, different studies.
I think I had 2 cardboard box worths of just books alone.
Actually, Matt, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the story of how I didn't bring a controller with me. And there's more to it than that. It's not just about the controller.
Okay.
Chill out. Okay. And you're gonna be your mum.
Oh, well, would you want me to tell my story? I was going to just give a brief example of a situation coming down to Swansea that she made stressful.
I don't think you're going to need to, because you can tell it afterwards, because this might give the full gist.
Okay, I won't be like my mum, but I will tell you what my mum would be like if she was in that situation.
I want your mum's voice and everything.
I can't do it. The thing is, I can't impersonate my mum. I can't, like, the only thing I could do of hers, which I'm so used to, is like the Matthew. Like, that's all I hear when I'm home.
Yeah, but like, you have too deep a voice. You can't do it. She's got a really kind of high pitched voice.
Yeah, she does. But like, it's just like, do you know what? Do you know what's hilarious? I was so used to having that certain pitch pierce my headphones when I was home that I would, obviously when I was home, I'd hear it so much that I would inevitably usually always take my headphones off to check if it was actually my mum making that sound and like shouting from downstairs for me for some reason, or if it was actually something in the background of the musical video I was listening to. When I got to uni in first year, I kept doing it.
Yeah, phantom screams.
I kept hearing my mum's phantom screams of my name whilst I was in first year's halls. How messed up is that?
That was weird.
Pretty messed up.
Anyway, sorry, right. I will tell you what my mum was like, and you'll tell me the story. Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so we'll just start. We're leaving on the 4th of. We're leaving on Saturday, the 4th of January.
Right. So hang on, Wes. You're both at home, and you're thinking of leaving on a certain day.
I'm telling you the day that we're leaving.
Okay. Well, first of all, she'd have had to check the calendar and make sure that everything's clear. Then she'll have completely stressed out over that. She'd have to make sure with Dad that everything's fine. She'd be constantly nagging at you the entirety leading up to that day. I'm talking like the days leading up to, are you packed yet? Are you packed? Why aren't you packed? Come on, you need to be packed. You get the idea. So that's just to start off with.
Okay, so the 4th of January comes about, and I'm packing up my stuff.
Okay, she'd be shouting and screaming at you as to why you're not packed up yet. We need to leave. We need to leave. Come on. You get the idea.
Right, so, I've got all my stuff in my boxes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and pack the car now. So I go and pack the car.
You wouldn't be packing the car. She would be packing the car as well. She's not going to stand by and just let you do everything and she can't do anything but sit on the sidelines. She's active in this. If there's one thing my mum can't do, it's sit on the sidelines and just do nothing.
My mum has learnt that it's just easier to like sit on the sidelines.
Oh, it is
because I need to put things in certain places so they don't get damaged. And like I want, like if I damage them, that's my fault. If someone else damages them, it's their fault. And like I don't want that on them.
Everything usually goes a hell of a lot smoother if you just stand there and let them do it. Because then you don't interfere and they just get along with it. My mum doesn't seem to have learned that.
So
anyway. So she and you will be packing up the car, and she'll be shouting at you the entire time that you need to get a move on.
So car's packed now.
Fantastic, right?
We're in the car.
First of all, she'd have done about 2 or 3 checks of the entirety of the house to make sure that you'd collected everything.
Okay.
Then she may go to the toilet because she'll be paranoid that she might not be able to go to the toilet while she's in the car. That she might not find the services. You know, you get the idea. Then I'd like to
say it's only a 3-hour drive to Nottingham, so she can probably hold it for 3 hours.
I don't know. Anyway, so then you're in the car.
So I'm in the car. We're about to pull off, and I say to my mum, "I have a feeling I'm forgetting something."
Okay, right. You are not leaving. Halt. Pump the brakes. What do you mean? What do you mean you've left something? Right. Okay. Let's go. Right, then you're going to be going back into the house. You're going to be going through the entire house again. She's going to be nagging at, right, have you found it? Have you found it? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you know actually what you're looking for? Right, come on.
Even though it's not confirmed that there is a thing missing.
I was going to say, yeah, so what happens at that point? So do you find what you're looking for?
Well, I wasn't, I didn't think I was missing. I just had a feeling that I was. It
Did
felt
you say
all
it
too
out
easy.
loud?
I said it to my mum, and she was, she was like, so, I don't think so. I think I got it all.
So your mum just drove off?
And we started driving, so like
if you gave my mum even the slightest hint before you left that you feel like you'd left something behind, you are not leaving anywhere near even just the postcode.
So we pull off out of the drive, down the road, take a left, and we're now headed to the motorway. And we pull up to the lights. I'm like, I've figured it out. I know what I've forgotten. The monitors.
Oh my god!
I left the monitors on the desk.
Lewis, you don't understand. I'm getting an anxiety attack just imagining this scenario. Because oh my god, kill me! I don't want to be in this situation. Oh,
I've left the monitors on the desk.
Phil.
Matthew's father. I've left them on the desk.
Oh my god!
We should turn around.
Probably, yeah. And also be moaning the whole way back. Like, if you, it's not like, if you turn around and be like, I think I've left it behind, she'd be like, what do you mean you think you've left it behind? Have you left it behind? Right, we're going to have to go back now. Right, well, this is just great. You get the idea. Except imagine that voice and that kind of tone, except just turn the pitch up about 3 octaves. But if you were fairly certain that you knew what you'd left behind, you're turning back.
So I grabbed the monitors. It takes a minute and a half max. I grabbed the monitors, throw them in the back seat. And we're ready to go. Oh, we've got loads of space because we've got. I hope
you're happy. I hope you're happy for a completely stress-filled trip down there. Then.
So now we're just going to drive to Nottingham. We're going to just get on the motorway. Right, we immediately get stuck in traffic. Because that's the M12 for you.
What I will say though is, so like I assume like most parents at this point would just be like, okay, let's now relax on the drive down there and put it in the past. My mum doesn't seem to be able to do that either. Like, if the journey starts off badly, it's not going to get any better.
So we're in a little bit of traffic. It's not too bad. It's like all right.
Okay.
It's standard traffic.
Are you moving, or is it completely?
Yeah, no, we're moving. It's a bit slow, and then we speed up a bit later, so it's fine. So I'm just sitting there chatting to my mum, about things, having a good time. I like spending time with my mum. Shockingly.
Jesus Christ. Any
comments there, Matt? You want to just
talking to my mum while she's driving is not the worst thing in the world. Only if you come to a busy roundabout or anything particularly major starts happening, she'll be like, I'll talk to you in a minute, I need to do this. But apart from that, you could usually talk to her while she's driving. I mean, that's not a huge big deal, to be honest.
So usually it's only a big
Okay, that's not a big deal either, really.
They put
Usually,
on my music though.
That's not too big of a deal either, to be honest. Usually, the only real problem starts arising if my brother's in the car as well, and he's trying to wind her up, which inevitably he ends up doing, because my brother just seems to have this natural knack for being able to press my mum's buttons and likes doing it.
Yeah.
Tell you what, though, what would be worse is if you told me that mum was the passenger. This is the state my family's got to now. My mum isn't allowed to be in the front passenger seat. If we're driving over to my grandparents, my dad's driving, I or my brother, it's usually me, will be in the front passenger seat because my mum is the single worst passenger I have seen in a car. In the front passenger seat, not only does she criticize everything my dad does driving-wise, she's literally grabbed just about everything on the driver's side. She's grabbed the steering wheel, the indicators, the handbrake, and the gear stick. She's literally grabbed everything.
I feel unsafe. I'm sitting in like a soft chair and my being closed a box.
Now imagine that she's doing this while shouting at Dad.
I'm having heart palpitations. Give me a minute.
This is what it was like growing up when we went on family holidays every summer, and my dad would be driving, and this would be what my mum was like every time.
So from here, obviously,
okay,
we get to
actually, sorry, hang on, wait, hold that. I'm gonna send you a photo. This would be classic. Actually, I need to download it quickly off of Google Photos. I took a photo before. So this summer, my family and I went on a holiday to San Francisco / Los Angeles. And as we were waiting, just simply outside our front door for the taxi to arrive, my mum was even then stressed. And there was a fantastic photo I got of her. It was just like... just the epitome of what we were going through.
Oh my god! Through. Hang on, I think I found the picture.
Hang on, I'll show it to you now.
I knew you were gonna. That's the one I have.
Yeah, that's the other great one.
I like how that's like two slightly different images.
This is the thing, though. This was just waiting for the taxi. And then, this is another great one. Also, I love how the viewers, if anyone's listening to this, has no idea what we're going on about.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
I'm obviously not going to put these in the description, but I'll give you a nice description. It's Matt's mum wearing sunglasses with a massive frown on her face, with her hands on her hips,
and she's standing by the fence outside our house, and we're just waiting for a taxi.
She's the most miserable person on the planet.
And look, the one below that. That's us waiting for the coach to go to Heathrow.
She looked so stressed constantly.
I know. That was me just taking a random photo. You see, like, my dad's smiling, my brother's just chill. That's my mum. Describe that one, Lewis. Go on. Describe my family waiting for the coach to Heathrow. What does my mum look like?
How would you describe that facial expression?
I don't know.
So her mouth is sort of like open, but it's like it's almost like she's about to clench her teeth. Right? You know what I mean? Like all of her like facial features like raising and like in an aggressive fashion. Is she challenging the bus? Is she asserting dominance?
She's asserting dominance over the bus. Literally, so that gives you an idea of what my mum is like when we're on, relaxing family holidays.
So we then pull up to my place in Nottingham, unload the stuff.
Well, that's more stress.
I mean, we're just moving it into my flat, putting it in correct places.
Well, yeah, but even so, you'd have to be making sure that you move it in carefully, and then you'd be trying to unbox everything, and then you'd be trying to put everything away, and that would be more stress. And like I had in first year, God forbid if any flatmates or anyone else is there, because then, this is the other thing, peculiarly, my mum will then turn into this soft little sweetheart. There'll be that will treat me like I'm 5. Like, I'm not kidding you, right? When I was, this is literally what my flatmate told me. My flatmate Oshan in first year said to me like halfway through first year, he said that when he came into the flat, he met my parents before he met me. And the way that my parents, and especially my mum, was going on about me, he literally thought I had mental disabilities. He literally thought I was like an incapacitated paraplegic with how my mum was talking about me.
Well,
Because my mum talks about me like I'm 5, like I'm made of glass. And so he then said that he met me, was so surprised that I was not that. And I was like a conversational person. He was like, I thought your parents would treat you like you were some sort of driveling, like, blob on the floor that couldn't even wipe his own arse.
That's interesting, because my mum says the opposite of me. She says I'm like a conversationalist, I'm like quite charismatic. But if you've ever seen me like interact with people I don't want to interact with, I am a miserable sod.
Yeah, no, I can testify to that, definitely.
Like, you see me walk down a street, right?
This is the thing that's hilarious when Lewis and I are together in a public place.
Focused.
I'll be just bumbling around, like, full of energy, being like, hello, everybody. Lewis will literally be stood by me he'll looking at me like, the hell is wrong with this guy?
When are we leaving?
I like interacting with people, don't get me wrong, but, like, I have this really, like... I have, like, a wind-up period that takes time around strangers. I gotta feel out the room and see how far I can go.
Meanwhile, I come in like a bull in a china shop, just crashing into the social situation like, hello!
You make a good first impression, Matt.
I make an impression. I'm not sure if it's a necessarily good one, but...
Matt seems like a moron if you encounter him for the first time.
I seem like a giant idiot.
He's an intelligent guy, apparently, but, like, I've never encountered this version of him. So everyone presents a certain side of themselves.
Ouch.
And Matt's side isn't the intelligent side.
No,
I know he is, because he's like in university doing history, which is like a hard course.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just ranting on about history earlier, but yeah, I mean, when I'm in a social situation, inevitably it usually ends up with me, because this is the other problem, especially whenever I'm passionately talking about anything, my voice, as you will probably both attest, naturally gets louder.
Yeah, there are some episodes of the podcast that we didn't reduce the volume on you, and that was a mistake.
So, like, so not only will I be incredibly talkative and acting like a bumbling idiot, I am a bumbling loud idiot.
So, Matt, let's say, for example...
Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
I've, like, unpacked everything.
I was going to say, yeah.
I
so
start
you've
setting up my
everything,
computer, because, like, last thing you do, because it's, like...
Yeah, that's something my mum
space.
won't touch, because she's completely technologically inept.
I set up my computer, and, like, I get all the wires out, and I start plugging everything in, and then I look back at my mum, and I say, I've forgotten the power cord.
The power cord?
Yep.
Lewis.
Oh, that is brilliant.
I know, right?
Oh,
almost forgot the monitors. That would have been bad. Because that would have been the worst.
I was going to say, like,
Lewis.
before, how do you... Like, the two monitors...
Because they were on my desk, so I was
big.
taking things out of my room down to the bottom of the stairs, and, like, I just sort of, like,
Lewis.
blind spotted over them.
Lewis.
I guess, yeah.
Because we changed how we packed the car this time. We opened the bottom of the boot up and put stuff in there.
Oh.
As opposed to, it's changed in routine and threw me off.
Yeah.
So how would Mrs. Phillips respond to...
God.
How would Mrs. Phillips respond to me turning back to her and saying, I've forgotten the power cord?
Lewis. Lewis. Oh my God. I feel like I'm having literal flashbacks right now to any time that I've ever done this myself. Oh God. Like, you don't understand.
I should mention, this was after I pulled the PS4 out of the car and then realised I'd forgotten the controller.
Oh, just I think you could probably guess what that situation would be like, just by inferring from previous actions that I've already outlined her as having committed. I mean, if this is a woman that will get, stressed out on a motorway and start grabbing, the steering wheel, etc., I think you could probably guess what she'd be like if you told her that you'd just driven all the way to Nottingham and then forgot the power cord and the controller.
Yeah.
You could probably guess what that situation would be like.
So not good?
No.
Wait, so is this the power cord for the PlayStation or the computer?
The computer.
Oh, the computer.
And I don't have
the
the control of the PlayStation, which you might have figured out means I can't use either of them.
Either of them.
Yeah. That is really good.
Fantastic.
But I have the Xbox controller that I use to play like Nova Drift and stuff.
Oh, so you could play like PC games with a controller if you could use your PC then.
Yeah.
That's great.
If.
I mean, I'd also have a keyboard and mouse. I would have been fine.
Did you just go out and get another cable then?
So we went to the Beefeater because they do like I think it's like the $5 for like a decent meal on like Saturdays or something. So we go and eat there, and I'm like, I'll order one from Amazon. It would be cheaper than going and buying one from Curry's because they're like 3 times the price at Curry's for some reason.
I don't
no. You wouldn't be
that.
ordering one at all because that'd be a waste of money. You're going to have to get it from home.
But that costs more in fuel than it does in just ordering from Amazon.
Oh,
it costs like £4.
Trust me. You're getting the same one from home. You're not ordering a new one.
So I ordered a new one,
was
and I just waited like 2 days.
So I ordered a new one.
I did some studying instead. And I watched some TV, and man, do I realize how much of my time I spend on my computer?
Yeah.
Like even if I'm not actually using it, like it's just being on.
I
for
know.
quick searches is so much more useful. Imagine living in the 70s.
It would be
Kill
tough.
me.
It would be tough.
Well, it would be tough if we were like suddenly transported there and had to live without all of that.
That would be so weird. Like TV barely exists. Like people watch it, but it's not like huge. Phones don't exist. Computers don't exist. Like
I mean, landlines exist.
we sound like such Zoomers right now.
Like you can manage. I think that the thing with it though is that if you're the only one who doesn't have one of these things, you end up very isolated because you can't just be like, oh, I'll just go and talk to the other people who also don't have these things and like spend time with them.
I feel like if we went back to the 70s when we would be interacting with other people, we'd have an awful lot of okay boomer moments.
But in a similar way of like, it wouldn't be that difficult for like someone from the 70s to come to now, and also wouldn't be that difficult for someone now to go to the 70s because they would just adapt to the culture.
I think it would be pretty difficult for someone from the 70s to come to now.
Well, they'd be young. They'd be in their 20s. They would adapt.
Would they?
I don't know. My mum was born in the 70s and she never adapted to even the 70s.
Okay, but I mean, like, you're not going to talk about your mum because she's nuts.
I mean, yeah.
I'm saying that, like,
my dad's much better. My dad's much better. But then that's because he's been working in an office.
A computer.
Yeah.
Like my dad's better because he was born in the 60s, but like, well, late 60s. But like, he's much better with technology than my mum is. But that's probably just because he's been working in an office most of his life, so he's been around computers.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. Obviously, like, not to my brother and I's extent. Like, he can't like build a PC, but you know.
I couldn't build a PC.
It's
really?
not hard.
I could. It's like plug things in.
Yeah.
It literally is. It's like screw a few things in, plug a few things in, as long as you know where to plug them in, and then you're good.
Don't
bit of a nightmare. But
don't slip with the screwdriver as well. That's basically the main concern.
And the thing that annoys me though is the problem is even if you have just one cable not correctly plugged in, nothing works. Like, oh my god, Josh, do you remember when I was building my grandparents' computer and I brought it around yours and I was like, the thing won't work. I plugged in everything from the motherboard correctly, as far as I'm concerned, and the damn thing won't turn on.
Yeah.
We literally, I think we unplugged the CPU cooler. You had like one look at the motherboard and the cabling, and you were like, this specific one is rotated wrongly 90 degrees. And I was like, oh, for the love of God.
Yeah.
It wasn't even necessarily plugged wrong. It was just 90 degrees round the wrong way. And I was just like, kill me.
To be honest, though, yeah, that was the CPU power cable that was 90 degrees to the 90 degrees wrong, which I thought they like had like the 4 pins were
round the correct way automatically
in such a way that you can't actually put it in at the wrong angle. That's what I thought.
You can.
I thought that was the case, but apparently not.
It was just so annoying though, because like everything else had been done correctly, and I'd done it all myself, and it was the first ever computer I'd fully built. And it was just like that one cable.
Yeah. I mean, you did.
I was
do
just like, oh, for God's sake. I mean, I think it is somewhat of a sort of, a quite satisfying thing when you actually, do build a computer fully by yourself.
Yeah,
how much do you think that
is
is going to be done in the future, do you reckon? Like, do you reckon pre-built computers and buying them custom pre-built is going to be a thing of the past?
No.
There's
always
you
a
don't
need
think
for
people
it.
All right. But I mean, like, in the future, though, like, do you not think people are going to become more adept at building their own?
People buy consoles instead of building PCs. PCs have been around for years.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
the
more
thing is, there's
people
nothing
build
wrong
their
with
own.
not wanting to. Like, it's perfectly fine to pre-build. Like, I think it's honestly more convenient to.
Oh,
Like,
it's more convenient.
if you have the extra money,
yeah.
just pay someone else to do it. Because, like,
oh yeah,
that way, like, it's done correctly. You've got insurance if it goes wrong. Like, the risk isn't on you anymore, and you get it and it works and it's fine. And you can custom do the specs, but you don't have to worry about the building it. And, like, building it isn't hard, but if you do something wrong or you irreversibly damage something, you're now out apart.
What I will say is, if you get it pre-built by someone else as a professional, one thing that is definitely better, and I would attest to this, is the cable management.
That's
because
true.
it is the bane
I
of
hate cable
all PC
management.
builders around the world is the goddamn cabling.
And not
There's
only that,
just
they'll tell
so
you if
many.
something's not going to work.
That as well, yeah.
Because you tend to buy the parts from the people who build them. So they'll just say, it's not going to fit.
Yeah.
So I had a different RAM that I was going to use, I think. And they basically just said, don't do that. You won't actually be able to fit the thing in.
Oh, I did. I actually made that mistake myself. I actually bought the wrong CPU for my grandparents' computer, the same one I was talking about earlier. The original CPU I bought for it was the wrong one. I think it was i5, and the motherboard said it accepted i5, but the problem was that it only accepted a certain type of i5,
Well,
and
it's
that
the
wasn't
socket.
the one I bought.
Because they have
it's the socket,
like,
basically, yeah.
Yeah. They have because
So I was like,
i5 is
"God damn it."
like, they have like 10, is it 10 generations now?
Something like
I
that.
think.
So
That's a
basically,
lot
I
of
just got the wrong
CPUs.
one.
On a lot of different sockets.
But what's the name of the opposing company to Intel?
AMD?
AMD, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they the same ones that are coming out with the alternate graphics cards to Nvidia, or is that a different company?
Yeah, they also...
That's Radeon. Is it? No, hang on. Is that Radeon?
Well, Radeon is the brand that AMD do. That's their thing.
Oh, okay. That is the actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to overtake them?
No.
No.
The thing is, AMD until
So
like the Ryzen stuff.
I've heard that with their GPUs, AMD are getting close to Nvidia.
AMD are usually like just behind Nvidia, because Nvidia probably has something up their sleeve.
Probably
at the moment, and like currently AMD are struggling to like keep up with what Nvidia did like a year ago.
Yeah,
they currently don't have anything like quite as powerful. I don't think. I could be wrong. But,
I'm not sure, but I just heard that on their latest like generation of
Yeah.
GPUs they were coming out with, that apparently they were getting surprisingly close actually to what Nvidia. Is it Nvidia or Nvidia?
I was waiting for someone to bring this up. I did look just now. It is Nvidia.
It's
is it
Nvidia? Not Nvidia. It's Nvidia, right?
No, it's
No.
Nvidia.
Nvidia.
You say the N and then you say video.
Oh, so it's Nvidia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nvidia. That sounds so much worse than either Nvidia or Nvidia.
Well,
To say that
when
N
you
is
say
like
quickly,
Nvidia
you
is just like
say
is
Nvidia.
Yeah, you just say Nvidia, but it's if you were to say it
sounds
properly,
wrong
it
now.
would be Nvidia. We've said
Okay,
it too
fair
many
enough.
times.
Nvidia.
We've said it for.
Nvidia,
We're
Nvidia,
literally
Nvidia.
giving product placement. We're giving
It's
product
wrong now.
placement at this point. This week brought to you by
Raid
the
Shadow
latest
Legends. We're still not letting go of that sponsor.
We're still not letting go of that one. But also, apart from Raid Shadow Legends, the latest generation of NVIDIA GPUs. Buy them now at whatever the hell their website is.
Just to clarify, he meant Nvidia, not Nvidia.
Okay, yeah.
I want to get paid for the sponsorship, and they will dock our pay if we don't specify.
Can you imagine if we were sponsored by NVIDIA?
I don't know the reason. Like, why would we be sponsored by NVIDIA?
Because we talk about PC
video
building
games
every 2 weeks. I hate it. It's like talking about anime, but worse.
Wait, what if... How often? I don't think we talk about
you two talk
PC
about
building
you
that
two
much
talk
at all.
about anime. Hang on, listen. This is
Like
how it
twice.
works. You two, we all can talk about video games and most things.
Yeah.
You two talk about anime, and I don't have a clue. Lewis and I talk about philosophy. Josh doesn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Josh and I talk about PC building. Lewis doesn't have a clue.
I have a clue. I just hate it. It's like it's
why
like
do you
the
hate
worst
it?
kind of conversation.
I like
it's
it.
so boring.
It's not boring.
Just like, oh, this product
It isn't
exists.
boring.
Like, wow, thank you, product vendor. This product also exists and has
Oh my
other
God.
things. Thank you, other product vendor.
It's
Have we just created
interesting.
a new? Have we created
PCs
a
are
new
cool.
pet peeve? Is this a new pet peeve for Lewis? People talking about PC building.
No, just don't
Have we
listen
found
to
it?
it.
Fine
He's
talking
flipping-
about
No,
fine
you're just-
talking about PC building when you're actually talking about solving a problem or like doing. But just,
what?
just
Actually,
hate it.
abstract,
Just accept
just
it.
abstractly talking about PC building. It's like, no, it's like
No.
talking about cars, but less interesting.
No, you just
Let
don't
me
hate
Car
tell
it.
you-
talk also sucks.
Can I just say something? Hang on,
Oh,
wait.
it's fun.
Lewis messaged me the other day, and he told me how many days.
Okay, we can talk about this one.
Yeah. Lewis. So Lewis messaged me the other day to tell me upon review of the last episode how many days exactly it was after he bought his. Was it 940?
980 Ti.
980. Sorry. So how
Oh,
many
this is
days
good.
after you bought your 980 Ti was it that Nvidia released the new 1080, Lewis? How many days?
4.
4.
Not even
Oh,
a
that is-
working week.
I got it the day after they announced that it was happening. I had
That
the card
is-
in my hand by the time I found out about the announcement.
Oh, it's glorious.
You might have been able to return it as well.
Days. You were within the return warranty period before the new one got released.
I know.
Oh, that is so good. I certainly had a little giggle to myself when I heard that. Or sorry, when I read it. Oh,
You
that
broke out laughing.
That
was
definitely
more
put a
than a
smile
little
on my
giggle.
face. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have
Just messaged me
returned
the-
it, but I didn't think about that. So
Well,
I didn't,
I
think it's a bit late
so
to
good.
return it now.
One thing is
Yeah.
that the
Oh,
980
I
Ti
don't know. I
would-
don't know. You're probably within the warranty.
Do you think if the people I bought the card from hear this, they'll be like, "Damn, that was unlucky. Let's offer him a refund like 4
No.
years after the fact."
Sure, Lewis, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't
Try
think
your
about that.
best.
No.
Try your
can always
hardest. Go
hope,
on,
but-
Lewis. I dare you. I double dare you.
I mean, if they sponsored the show and they did that, I mean, I'm fine with it, honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with that too if they want to reimburse all of us for an extra GPU.
No, not all of you. Just to be, I paid for this card.
I paid for mine.
Yeah, but you bought the good one. You'd be getting the exact card you replaced.
Hey, can I get
Which
an
means I
upgrade?
can have two of
I
them.
want a
That doesn't mean that I
1060
can't
here.
use both of them.
I want a 1060 here. I kind of want an upgrade too.
Listen, Lewis, just because I'd be getting another one of the good GPUs doesn't mean I can't use both of them.
You'd
I
have to
tend
send the other one back.
Oh, no. I was just hoping they'd send me another one.
I think you'd actually have like sync issues with it as well, though.
Do
I
you-
think
Like adding
you do
another
SLI?
card gets really obnoxious.
you can.
well,
they
two
do
10
SLI
two
in
1080s.
between two cards. I think
Yeah, they do. It just sucks because they break constantly.
it used to. Well, because they have the. I think with the 10 series they had like an actual bridge that went across the two cards. This
I
might
see
be
I've
the
made a
900
mistake here.
series.
I don't care.
Well, okay, but you're saying it's unstable, and I'm saying like
I'm just-
I don't think
I'm-
it is.
That was my mistake. I shouldn't have propagated the
I just
conversation.
don't care.
But it's interesting. Oh.
Listen, guys, I just don't care.
It's just,
You
man.
made a mistake there.
Yeah, I made a
You made a
mistake.
great mistake.
Yes. Anyway, I'd like to speak to you today about the AMD Radeon.
Oh, would you
my
now?
God.
Yes.
Which you could get generously for a certain amount at 99 at your local store.
I'm making it clear that I'm a shill, and I will say whatever I'm paid to say.
Literally, Lewis is a walking, talking billboard. You want to sell something through him, go right ahead.
This episode brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace, the best place to build a website with no experience. All right, I'm done. No more ads. No more fake
pretty
ads.
easy.
Lewis is such a walking billboard.
Apparently not, because Matt couldn't do it, and I had to do it instead.
Lewis is such a walking
Yeah.
billboard. He'll advertise for companies without even being sponsored by them.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you don't want to set that precedent. Because then
That's probably not.
you just won't get paid for it.
Oh, no. It's Lewis's new marketing franchise theory that if he advertises a franchise enough, they will eventually just accept into his demands for being sponsored.
I talk about The Witcher every week. Do you think I could get Henry Cavill on?
I mean, if we give it enough of a try, I reckon.
I'm done with Tom Welling. Like, he's done now. He's not the guest that we're going for anymore.
Wow.
We're now going for Henry Cavill.
Wow, we're moving up in the world real quick.
Well, Tom Welling's like a pretty chill dude, I think, but I don't think I'd be able to talk to him about anything. He seems pretty like private and like
Next week,
that's fine.
Next week, check in for the star guest episode interview with Henry Cavill.
But I think Henry Cavill talking about the Witcher books would be like very interesting.
Because he's actually
he read them before he did the role, right?
He's actually a fan of the series, and he's read them all. And I've read them, some of them. So I'd be able to talk to him about it. You guys can do one. I just want to spend time with like Henry Cavill.
Well, that would be your episode.
Talking of if someone that plays a part actually gives a damn about the lore of the context of the world they're playing it in, the new Picard series. I have some things to say about this series, and they're not particularly favourable. So
I'd like to apologise to anyone listening to this at the moment, because neither me nor Josh like Star Trek.
Okay, yeah. This is just going to be
I'm okay with it existing.
This is just going to be my quick rant, basically. Basically, I won't take up too much of people's time, but basically, screw the new Picard series.
Is it really that bad?
And I like Sir Patrick Stewart, but I have some problems with what he was saying. Because basically, cut long story short, he doesn't really care that much about Jean-Luc Picard, nor does he really care that much about sci-fi. And he only really cared about sci-fi once he found that he had a lucrative role in playing Picard on The Next Generation. And then coming into the Picard series, which also, by the way, is apparently in the same canon as J.J. Abrams' universe,
yes.
for no particular reason. Basically, if I remember correctly, Patrick Stewart is a executive producer on this. And if you remember correctly, he played, for the last time, Charles Xavier in Logan, right?
Yeah.
He did that
He was in Logan with Hugh Jackman.
Very good film. Highly recommend.
Yep.
Yes, so would I. The problem is he basically decided, what if we did Logan, but Star Trek edition?
What?
I don't think he decided that. I just think the two roles that he's known for are roles that would lend to that kind of story.
No. He decided to do that. He was an executive producer on the show. He decided he had a lot of creative input into the show.
I guess I'm wrong then.
Well, not only that, but basically he decided that he was going to completely piss on Gene Roddenberry's idea of what the future of Star Trek worlds would be, in the sense, and basically remove any notion of what the Next Generation was like. Because basically Gene Roddenberry, the guy that made Star Trek in the 60s, had an envision of the future of humanity and this sort of world in which Star Trek is based, where basically humanity has resolved most of its internal conflicts, and most of its conflicts then start to predicate itself upon other aliens and other existential life outside of humanity itself. All sort of problems of race and class and gender and anything like that have basically been solved one way or another by that point in time. And it basically speaks to a very sort of hopeful and inspiring future. And, you know, Star Trek has often been called the thinking man's sci-fi world or sci-fi series. And it's not really supposed to have that much action in it, and it's supposed to bring up a lot of philosophical points and interesting points and, really good script writing and this kind of thing. Apparently, they decided to completely go away with that now and do the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Star Trek can't catch a break in the 21st century.
It really can't.
Discovery's not very good. Picard's not very good.
Jar Jar Abrams' Star Trek series wasn't great either.
Ouch.
Yeah, this is new name.
J.J. Abrams, it turns out, as we've seen from the most recent Star Wars films, I'm not going to
spoil it. I still haven't seen it.
But he can't direct. He can't write new things. He just keeps rewriting the same things that have already happened.
Hang on, I don't know. The first Star Trek film he did had some creativity to it, but after that, he lost all of it. And then, the third one I think was written by Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg's good at writing comedy.
He is.
I've never really seen much of his true action.
The third one was all right, to be honest. The third one was all right. And it wasn't like the script was, a really bad part of it. Simon Pegg, I think, did an all right job of it. And the first Star Trek film, I think, was all right as well. And it had a bit of creativity to it, That spoilers, but this is like from 2009, so, I'm not really spoiling anything. They destroy Vulcan, and no one had done that. And they had time travel, and they created a whole new universe, and they kept with the characters, but still had Leonard Nimoy in it because two Spocks, same universe, and all this kind of thing. And
he didn't like playing Spock.
Really?
He didn't like that he was only known for Spock.
What else has he been played in? That. I can't. The thing is,
he did the Hobbit song. The thing to remember is that he may not have liked it when it was happening, but he learned to live with it, and he embraced it as time went on.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart hasn't really done that with Jean-Luc.
Patrick Stewart seems like he seems like an old school actor, Didn't having a huge amount of fun with some of his roles.
Well, the problem is basically they've decided to try to incorporate in modern day politics into the storyline of this latest show. Do you want me to give you basically the synopsis of what is basically going on?
You can, but if it involves anything from past Star Trek, I will not understand it.
Okay, well, it only incorporates in the first Star Trek movie, and all it incorporates in is the destruction of Vulcan.
Okay, so just assume Vulcan's gone.
Sorry, not the destruction of Vulcan. Sorry, the destruction of Romulan. So this is right. So in the first Star Trek movie, you have the original Star Trek universe, which everything is in, the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, everything. Then there is an alternative universe that was created when Eric Banner's Romulan guy basically goes back in time and changes everything, right? And then that's when you start having the kickoff of what's called the Kelvin timeline, which is starting the new Star Trek universe, right? And that's in that one, Vulcan's destroyed. In the original universe, Romulus is destroyed. So because of that, you now have a whole lot of Romulans who now have no homeworld, and basically Picard is a lonely, solitary figure that has left the fleet, the Starfleet, and he's now somewhat of a recluse, staying on a French vineyard because he's a Frenchman, and nothing says Frenchman quite like sitting solitarily with a whole load of vineyards surrounding you.
I had forgotten that Picard is supposed to be French.
He is actually supposed to be French, but he has an incredibly strong English accent and sips tea. So basically, for all accounts and purposes, he's British apart from in namesake. But anyway, that's besides the point. So basically, he's a recluse, and he's a recluse for problems that have gone on in his life, both on a personal level and a societal level. So personally, he's dealing with the death of Lieutenant Commander Data, who is Brett Steiner's character from the original series. Sorry, not from the original. Sorry, from the Next Generation, who obviously infamously died in 2002's Star Trek Nemesis, saving the Enterprise. And he's distraught by that, and he's dealing with that on a personal level, and then on a societal level, he's dealing with this brand new refugee crisis that is sparking across the universe with the destruction of Romulus. Because it's not like refugee crises or anything that's talked about in modern day politics at all. Not only that, but also Picard himself said that actually part of the inspiration for the entirety of the show's storyline was, and I quote, Trump and Brexit.
I mean, I don't see anything inherently wrong with that.
I mean, maybe that just people don't want to kind of think about that while they're watching it.
Well, yeah, no, but Star Trek's always been a political show.
I guess.
Well, yeah, it has been, but that is true. The main problem is they don't execute it well. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's
right.
the complaint. Then it's just that the show is bad because they don't do any of the things with any subtlety or deftness.
Well, this is the problem with Hollywood. I would argue nowadays is the fact that, because as you point out, Lewis, Star Trek has always been a show that has tackled political and philosophical issues, both that are happening at that point in time and that have happened in the past. And this show is not really doing anything different in that sense. The problem is that, like with a lot of modern day Hollywood, it's not doing it and addressing it with really any sort of real elegance or grace. It's mainly just like them standing on a stage and being like, "Oh, this is a problem. This is bad. We do something about it, but not me because I'm too busy living in my rich mansion in Hollywood. But I will wear a badge or a pin on my outfit at a certain event to signal that I am in true support of this cause. I just won't really do anything about it, apart from maybe writing a casual, sort of casual check."
This reminds me of like Jeff Bezos gave some large amount of money to the Australian wildfires. Everyone was saying, "Oh, this is really good. This is really good," and then you do the math. It's like he gave the equivalent of $2 from his paycheck.
Literally. Probably more like 2 cents.
No, it was $2.
To be fair, he doesn't he put a lot of his money back into other projects that he's working on?
I thought you were going to say Amazon. He just puts a lot of his money back into Amazon.
I mean, possibly. Like he's working on Blue Origin, which is not a cheap project to do.
He's working on what?
Blue Origin, which is his.
What's that?
It's like a worse version of SpaceX. It's just because I don't know as much about it, honestly. It's probably fine.
You mean it has a less charismatic person leading it?
Well, yeah. That and, like, I think they're just more private about it. Or, well,
that would make
SpaceX
sense.
Are very public about what they do.
Very public.
I think is more what the reality is.
I mean, one of my favourite abiding memories from SpaceX is the knowledge that a whole load of engineers were driven to near practical sanity by having to listen to Rocket Man being played on a never-ending loop within that Tesla car whilst they were loading it into that rocket to launch into orbit.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did that.
Because like the engineer said afterwards, like, you have no idea how much that drove us insane. The fact that whilst we were loading it in, it was playing it on loop over and over and over.
But why did they need to load
this is the thing.
It's in
this
space.
Is the thing.
There's no like sound in space.
But more importantly, why couldn't they have just started it playing, I don't know, just before they were going to launch the rocket?
It might have been because they weren't able to connect to the thing that was playing the sound.
Okay, well, fine.
They needed to enclose it in, so for like logistical reasons, it's easier to start it playing while they're loading as opposed to like navigating once it is loaded. Because that then adds risks of like, oh no, you've got to tinker with things that have already been loaded, and it would.
Why can't you just start it playing wirelessly?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, it is a Tesla. It does have a lot of like, they could connect to phones, right?
Yeah.
Although, I guess if they wanted to,
why couldn't you just have it on a speaker? Why couldn't you just had it connected to a speaker system and then just had like? There's so many easy like. If you had a Tesla
you think
and you
they're
wanted
easy, but I think the reality is they're probably not.
I think the problem is that because I was going to say if you have a Tesla and you had a speaker inside, it wouldn't take an awful lot of hard engineering problem solving to just play music on that speaker inside from your phone. But I think the problem is now put a rocket in between you and the car.
Yeah.
And
also,
that will probably create an awful lot of interference.
Weren't using a phone to play the music.
Can you imagine that just Elon Musk just standing at the launch site?
And it's more weight, and adding weight to rockets is like a nightmare. Like the whole thing is they were doing a payload test, but they probably didn't want to like keep. Also, like adding loose stuff is even more of a pain.
Oh my god, guys! I just thought of something else. I saw a video the other day of an original TV demonstration, or like a TV, not show, but like, well, I guess it was kind of a TV, well, not a long-running TV show, but it was just a one-time presentation by Werner von Braun in 1955 of what the original plans were for America going to the moon. They're insane.
It was a big catapult, right? No, sorry, trebuchet. It was a superior siege engine.
No. They were going to create a space station that was so this is 1955, by the way. Basically, they were going to about 1,000 miles above the Earth put a space station up there that, ironically for a German, looked exactly like the Mercedes-Benz logo. And they were going to have a whole station up there that was going to house 55 people.
Okay.
And it was going to have whole sections in it, like living quarters, transmissions, environmental studies, but have a whole botanical garden, and it was just like a whole load of stuff. And they were this is another thing.
That would be.
They
really
were going to
cool.
have spacesuits in there, but the spacesuits basically looked like giant ice cream cones. And you had a rocket motor at the top and bottom.
What?
And then around the outside of it, you had 7 individual arms that the pilot could twist around inside the spacesuit and activate one of these arms to try and, do something with it. Like, you'd have
did each of the
you'd
arms
have like a cutter arm and a grabbing arm and like a plier arm, and you get the idea.
Okay, I mean...
And then basically what you do is you then retrofit one of the loading missiles that was used to send up all the cargo for the space station. And then you'd retrofit it to basically fire off towards the moon.
Yeah.
And then come back again.
Back to the space.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is currently like NASA's plan to a lesser degree. They're going to build a station around in outer orbit, and that's how they're going to use it to launch Mars missions. They're going to send people to that station and then send a different craft to Mars.
It's going to be like halfway in between like Earth and the moon, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a NASA guy, so don't get on my back if I'm wrong.
I mean, basically, I don't even think it's that. I think it's actually going to be in orbit around the moon. I can't remember what they're calling it, but basically, yeah, they're going to have it around the moon, and then you're going to have it then around the moon, and then you go from the moon down to the moon's surface.
Are we finally
and do your stuff, and then come back up again. Basically, yeah, we're going to have an ISMS.
No, that's not
an International Space Moon Station.
Yeah, but it's not for the moon; it's for Mars. But they're
actually,
using it
no.
Like a launcher.
Actually, no, it'd be the ILS, wouldn't it? International Lunar Station.
I like that.
So you'd have the ISS and the ILS.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't think it's a lunar station. Still, I think it's just around the moon.
Well, anyway, okay.
So,
anyway, yeah.
Just on this space topic, I'm really annoyed that Earth doesn't have like a space name.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's in like named after one of the Roman or Greek gods.
No, that's not what I mean at all.
Well, actually, no, they're not Greek. They're just Roman.
Earth is just called Earth. It's dumb. There's no like colloquial name for things born on Earth. And it makes me sad. I feel like we should be future-proofing here. We should we'll say that the planet's overall name is Terra. Anything that originates from Earth is called Terran, and so you would say a Terran human.
Or a Terran canine species, or a Terran feline species.
Yeah, we would continue doing whatever.
Right.
Just because it annoys me, because everyone's like, oh, this is a common trope in sci-fi, where you saw it in Guardians of the Galaxy, they said, oh, Peter Quill was half Terran, half something else. I'm like, yeah, but does that mean that we're calling humans Terrans? What about dogs? If what are you calling dogs in space? Specifically ones from Earth.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been thought through enough. I genuinely think that Guardians of the Galaxy should have been delayed until they came up with this naming scheme.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like a film, you could have done any time. We'll just come up with a name for the dogs.
So apparently, Earth is just a mixture of English and German, just meaning ground.
An issue to me.
Also,
So apparently,
it's arrogant to believe that Earth is like the center of the universe, and they always go on about in space films. Now, you humans you aren't the center of the universe, but I want a space film where we just are, like we are the first spacefaring civilization.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah, like Zeno's paradox has worked for us.
It's just coincidentally worked.
Oh, it's not Zeno, is it? Oh, I can't remember what it is. But basically, the idea that like
cut to feedback from the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, you can next episode you'll find out the answer. But it's the idea that like, well, someone has to be the first spacefaring civilization, right, in the universe.
Right. Someone has to be the first one.
And,
like someone had to be the first person on the moon.
And the universe is big.
Right.
You would agree with the sentiment, Matt, that the universe is big.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just wondering where you were going.
But the chances that we're the first is astronomically tiny.
I mean, yes. Yes.
So then you wonder, why is everything so silent?
So basically, why has no one else contacted us?
Why is there no signals from anywhere at all?
Because they may be on the other side of the galaxy?
But the chances are they would have figured this out ages ago.
It's either that or, yeah, maybe we are the first. We're getting awfully philosophical here.
Well, no, what I'm getting at is that maybe there's a reason why everyone's quiet, and that everyone else has figured it out, and we're about to learn the answer.
Oh dear. Well, that's not terrifying at all.
Why is nobody? There's so many film concepts. Like they're constantly remaking Bond films. Like, come on, guys.
I mean, I can't remember. There's a quote that I have in my head, and I can't remember who exactly said it. I think it might have been Oscar Wilde, but I could be completely wrong in that sense. But there was, I think it's someone from the 19th century said that in relation to that question, there were two variations on what the reality could be. Either we are alone in the universe, or we're not, and both are equally as terrifying.
Very philosophical.
It's a very philosophical statement, yeah.
I find it more terrifying that we're alone in the universe, honestly.
In some way, I would say yes, but in some other ways, I'd say at least it doesn't mean that we have any other alien species to worry about screwing over. Because that's the main problem, is if we come into contact with any other species, it's only going to be a matter of time before we go to war with them.
Yeah, but when you find out you're alone in the universe, you've got to think about why you're alone.
Yeah.
What's so different about Earth compared to everywhere else?
And where do you go? Like, what do you do?
What's the point at that point?
Yeah, what's the point in if you're like 100% sure that you're completely alone in...
What are you going to explore when you're alone?
There's no other life. There's
I mean, like, explore the universe.
What are you going to find?
You find more
There's no
rocks,
other life in the universe.
We explored the moon. We were fairly certain there wasn't any life on there.
No, but at the moment, there's still the hope. Everyone's always hoping that, like, or maybe this time.
I don't think everyone's hoping. I think some people are incredibly paranoid about if there's aliens out there. But anyway.
Okay.
And when they go to these places, they seek to understand more about, like, space. But you can do that in the solar system predominantly, and, like, we're not leaving the galaxy. Hell, we're not even leaving the solar system. It's unfeasible.
Well, I mean, you could leaving the solar system is possible. Voyager's
not alive.
Okay, not now.
When was Voyager launched, Matt?
The 1970s.
Right, so a generation ago, and it's just left the solar system.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm saying it's possible. I'm not saying it's possible now. I'm saying
never leave the solar system.
How hopeful?
You will never leave the solar system, nor will I. But what I'm saying is that
the planet, I doubt.
So will I. What I'm saying is that in the centuries to come, I'm not saying that it's not feasible for a human to leave the solar system. It's not like leaving the galaxy is practically impossible, no matter how far we develop.
Leaving the galaxy is like so far beyond anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, the problem is that you can only travel basically at the speed of light, unless you invent warp engines. You can only travel at the speed of light.
No, you travel less at the speed of light.
Sorry, yeah, you can only travel
and
at
I want to remind you, the faster you go, the harder it is to get faster.
And also the harder it is to maintain that speed.
Well, no, there's basically nothing to stop you in space. Once you reach the speed, you're at the speed.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But think of it from the perspective, like, I've accelerated to 10 miles per hour in space. Don't worry about how distance works like that. Think like years.
Sure.
Right? You've got no point of reference, so it's hard to measure. Like, you're traveling at 10, light years per second. And then I want to increase to 11. Well, I've got to increase my thrust by 10%, but I'm not actually thrusting to get to 10, whatever. So you have to thrust a little bit to gain that speed, but it will take a very long time to increase.
Yeah.
You're never going to do it. Also, thrusting in space is difficult. It's more like throwing. It's like dump on a bunch of stuff behind you.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, yeah. It's very much unlike the sort of aerial combat Battle of Britain style that we see in Star Wars, which, although is very fun to look at, it's not really how it works.
I'm not convinced it's very fun to look at.
I mean, watch Rogue One. Watch the ending of Rogue One and don't tell me you're not entertained.
It's good, but it's kind of boring. I've seen it 9 times now.
It's more fun than its realistic counterpart.
That's true, but
what would you say are some of the more realistic space battles you've ever seen? Then
the most realistic space battles I've ever seen, none.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I can't think of any film that's done sort of a battle in space correctly.
It's because it's so impossible. Because you know how big space is.
I don't know how real the most realistic space battle would just be like a single.
Unironically, Transformers versus Unicron.
What, in the animated one?
Yeah, because Unicron's big, so there's gravity.
Is that a space battle though?
They're in space.
So is a battle on Earth a space battle?
Well, no, because Unicron doesn't have an atmosphere. It's not a planet. It's in Unicron form. It's only a planet in transformed Unicron form.
No, it's okay.
It's basically got the size of a planet. It eats planets.
Would you say Cthulhu is a planet, Josh?
Is Cthulhu planet-sized?
No, but some of them are. He's big.
Okay. No, I wouldn't say that.
So what makes Unicron different?
Nothing.
So Unicron's not a planet. Therefore, it's a space battle.
Only if both parties are fighting in the same kind of way. That's not a space battle. That's a battle on Unicron.
But they're battling Unicron. They're just on his body because they're smaller than him.
Okay, but when you're like fighting off a cold, which is essentially what Unicron is doing. That's not a battle on Earth. That's a battle in you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the same kind of way, Unicron is fighting a battle in himself. He's not fighting a battle in space. Yes, but he's in space.
It's a space battle. Let me put this into a different perspective.
No, it's not.
No, this is though.
When I'm like sick with the flu, that's not an Earth battle. That's just
what happens if it was a battle between your immune system and bacteria and you were in the vacuum of space?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a space battle. That would just be me fighting off a cold internally.
Yes, but you will recall that they do fight Unicron from their own ship.
Sometimes.
To be fair, they do.
They get eaten. Yeah, they take him down from the inside, but they do have to fight him from the outside.
They do start off the battle from the outside, And they then have to try and penetrate his armor and actually get inside. If I remember correctly, they actually did that through his eye, didn't they?
He ate them, I think.
It's been too long since I've watched it.
I think I remember. I think I remember at one point they shot him through the eye and they got in through that way.
I really liked how he actually had an immune system as well. Like a load of, I don't know, were they like snakes or something?
Tentacle things.
Yeah, that they were like running about through his body. That was pretty cool.
I also like how they had the guts to actually kill off Optimus in that one. Spoilers, by the way, but that's spoilers.
I enjoyed
this
that
is spoilers
film when
from
I was younger. I don't know if it's any good.
Where's this from? The 80s?
I think so. It's like the Generation 1 film. It's
so when was it? 80s, something like that.
Probably.
So yeah, spoilers from the 80s.
Yeah,
other spoilers from the 80s. The Berlin Wall is going to collapse. Communism will end, and
sure about that?
Okay, communism as a facade will end, but intrinsically, systematically won't.
Are you also sure about that?
In Russia, I mean, the USSR will not exist.
But
Mr. Lawyer here.
It's still a communist country.
It isn't, strictly speaking, a communist country. For all intents and purposes, it basically is. But as a strictly speaking political system, Russia is not communist anymore. It's not a communist.
Democracy.
It's not a communist dictatorship, and it is supposed to be a democracy. They have elections; they're just not necessarily that fair or impartial.
All clips of Russia.
Not a democracy. That's what I'm hearing here.
So not a democracy, basically.
All clips
but
of
if you went to
just
Russia, they would tell
think,
you it's a democracy.
All clips of Russia I've seen just make me think of it as just like a modern day medieval times Britain.
Well, did you hear about what they recently did? Putin did with the Constitution.
Broken.
Just before Matt says what he's about to say, I'd like to remind him of the line in the sand.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to cross the line. I'm just stating what happened in the news recently.
Yeah, but that could be political in nature, and that crosses the line.
We've already crossed that line this episode.
Yeah, but we're crossing back.
Okay.
Basically, he made some changes to the Constitution that actually surprisingly tried to limit the power of any future president.
Well, I imagine that's because he's aware that he's eventually going to, die.
But that's probably basically why. He
wants to go down as a good leader, not a bad leader.
But also, he's trying to make sure that his version of Russia is the one that stays around forever.
His version of Russia is terrifying.
No shit, Sherlock. I mean, it's Russia.
I can't believe he just censored there.
I know. Yeah, that was the KGB doing that. That wasn't even Josh. It's worrying.
They're censoring us. It's true.
Just imagine
I heard the bleep
gay.
Censoring us live.
So I know that we're not the biggest fans of the late shows here, but Stephen Colbert, I believe last year, did a few episodes. He did a week-long show, I think, actually, in Russia, or a whole week-long load of clips from Russia. And afterwards, when he came back, he actually said that, so one of the jokes that he did whilst he was out there was that he actually stayed in the hotel suite that allegedly Donald Trump had hired out after the Obamas had stayed in it, and allegedly had several women come in and urinate on the bed, shall we say. And Colbert, as a joke, rented or, bought out that suite for the week. And he was spied on so much by the officials in Russia that he at one point got woken up at 3 a.m. by a guy outside his window. Then when asked why he was there, he said, "You asked for the windows to be cleaned." And then Colbert was like, "It's 3 a.m. I'm not asking for any windows to be cleaned." It's like, come on, man. You're part of the KGB and that's your excuse? I was simply cleaning windows. I'm trying to be fellow comrade of Russia. I'm trying to be helpful.
Do you remember when the ex-agent or whatever, ex-double agent person in Britain was poisoned?
Oh, Salisbury, yeah. I just went to see the scenery.
It's so good.
We were simply being tourists. We love Salisbury.
It's so good.
We saw it on tourist map and thought we have to come to Salisbury. Can Can you imagine if the cops were in that room to interrogate them? Like, are these guys for real, or are they just trying to prank us?
It's probably prank.
like that. Not even a British guy would get away with saying that. Like, it's like Britain is so stereotypical in how much we hate each other. You're like, you came here for the tourism, yeah, right?
Why? Just why?
Like, if you go to most comedy shows if you go to most comedy shows in Britain and the comedian comes on stage and it's like, what's the best thing to do here? Most people just be like, leave. There's the door. Use it. Find the exit onto the motorway and just go.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also drink here below the age of 21. So if you're American.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. We'll take all your students, though. They could all come over here and just booze on our alcohol until they eventually die of liver poisoning. But apart from that, there's not really much else to come over here.
Imagine drinking. Imagine being such a boring person that you have to improve your outlook on life by drinking.
Have you met half the students of Britain?
Yeah, I have, and I think most of them are boring.
Oh.
I will agree with you in the sense, well, stupid, I would say. Like, oh my word. There is nothing quite like having a David Attenborough complex whilst walking about on Britain's high streets on a Friday or Saturday night and seeing the absolute booze cruise load of idiots that run out of every single place at about 2 or 3 in the morning. It's just fascinating. You just sat there and it's almost like you're on some sort of like biological documentary running, like, and here we see the wild yobbo coming out of the nightclub at 3 a.m.
Like, it's genuinely fascinating how different they are.
As you can see, he's completely pissed. It's like, you just see them walking out and it's like they're a different species. You're like, my God, I'm related to these kind of people.
Yeah, it's a very different world to the one I experience.
Well, more than that, also living in Swansea is an extra added experience because, as many will attest, it is the drug capital of the UK.
Matt, you think you've got things going on? I live in the gun capital of the UK.
The what?
So
the
basically,
gun capital.
Oh, the gun. Okay, I thought you said something else there.
Wait, what did you think he said?
Don't question it, Matt.
Okay. So basically what we're saying is that, Josh, when we come back home, we're basically going to be loaded up with drugs and guns and starting our own mafia crew.
I mean, I'm not. What's most likely is I'm going to stay as far away from that stuff as I can because I got a pet peeve.
Guns.
Oh, you have?
Guns are your pet peeve.
I have a pet... Listen. I have a real pet peeve with being shot, okay? I really don't like it. It's really inconvenient.
Is a pet peeve, right? So I decided earlier today... I'm going to go and buy some crisps because I want some crisps.
Yeah.
As you do. And
chips for our North American fellows.
Oh, yeah, I was really confused for a second. So, no, hang on, that's not. That's the potato-y thing that you eat. It's like soft and not crunchy.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, it gets much harder when you actually come over here and you're having to censor yourself the whole time with regards to that sort of stuff.
So I decided to walk. I walk up the road to Tesco's, and it's like a 2-minute walk, and that's no problem. Why do people insist on smoking in the middle of the street? It's the most obnoxious thing. Yeah. Like, they're standing at the bus stop. Like, just don't smoke. Like, you have no idea. First of all, if anyone has any medical conditions that you're about to like cause. Second of all, your like dank ganja smells like cat piss, and it sucks.
I will say weed doesn't smell as bad as like just regular smoke.
It's a lot more.
That's not a problem, Josh, because I walked past the dank ganja, and then there was a guy walking at a snail's pace. This is the real pet peeve here, which is if you smoke, at least stand still.
Yes.
Don't make me walk behind you.
It's
while you smoke at like. And because your lungs don't work, you can't walk more than like one pace every 5 seconds.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, if you're going to smoke, at least stand still. Don't make me have to actually walk behind you.
And then here's the even worse part. There was a couple who, like, after I bought my crisps and started walking back, there was a couple who both pulled out fags and then walked at a snail's pace in the
cigarettes.
way.
Cigarettes for our North American fellows. That's another one that I've seen.
Is that another thing we're going to have to bleep? I don't know anymore.
What, fag? No, you don't have to bleep fag.
Are you sure?
Well, okay, if we were a North American show, maybe, but yeah, that cigarette for all of you non-UK folk
Well,
out
this
there.
goes up on the World Wide Web.
In the same way,
British, it's fine. Like fag is a colloquialism for cigarette.
Yeah, but in the same way that many Australian blokes come over to Britain and get very confused looks when they ask for where they can buy the nearest set of thongs.
Hey, I'm going to smoke a fag.
You're in the gun capital of the
amount
UK.
of British
this is
blokes
not a good thing to be saying.
The amount of British blokes that have come over to America and got in huge trouble for asking if anyone's got a bit of backy for a fag and been thrown out of places is numerous, I bet.
Is that like still a common thing in Britain then?
Yeah. Saying the
okay.
word fag for cigarette, I'd say so, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, everyone I know says, like, fag, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much,
I'm
yeah.
not around too many smoking people, to be fair.
I'm not either, but usually if I am, they usually would say fag.
Like, no, I don't hear people say, I'm going to go and smoke a cigarette. Like, I'm going to go and have a fag.
Okay.
Yeah. Inevitably, it would always be that word, yeah. It's
also
like,
I'm going to go and smoke, right? They don't, it's cigarettes.
Yeah, the word cigarette is never really actually said. But,
like, have a smoke.
my auntie actually, when she was younger, got in trouble for going into an American store. And when she was much younger, as a little girl, she liked to collect rubbers. Like the little children's rubbers and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, Josh, do you know what a rubber is in America?
I do.
So you can imagine what a problem it would be if a small little 6-year-old girl goes up to a shopping store assistant and asks if she has any child rubbers.
Oh, no. Wait, did they say child rubbers? That's terrible. That's really funny, but...
yeah, I know. So, like, the shop store assistant looked at her with this, like, look of absolute horror on her face. and it took my grandparents explaining to them that they were British and that it has a much different meaning. By the way, for you North America folk, rubber is an eraser. So it's not what you think. I mean, I'm glad that we cleared up all those translation issues because I'm.
We haven't done all of them yet.
I know we haven't done all of them.
Those good old fanny packs, which aren't what you think they are.
Hey, but I think I'm just probably more aware of it, having obviously lived over here, because like I can't say anything British over here at all.
Yeah,
you can.
Well, I mean, like, not if I want them to understand me.
If you said to someone in Canada, "You got a fag,"
they would look at me like
they wouldn't, because there are so many popular British shows.
No, honestly, I the people I've spoken
they
to
say
don't
it in
know
Sherlock,
that.
Probably.
Yeah, I know. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, no, the people I've spoken to here didn't know that. They don't know a lot of stuff.
Thing, though.
Yeah, but they did so many shows. Like, Britain isn't some like obscure nation.
Well, apparently everyone over here just turns to watch Peaky Blinders. Apparently,
I've never even seen it.
No, I haven't either.
Is this the kind of show that British people don't watch, but Americans are like, oh, that's how it is?
Probably.
Yeah, it's literally that kind of show that no one in Britain really tends to watch, but everyone in North America is obsessed with.
Except James Corden, right? Like, James Corden was like horribly unpopular in this country, but when he went to America, he became very popular.
He was okay before he went to
popular.
America.
He was popular as Smithy.
Yeah, he was popular for one role that involved him being himself, and then you saw him in any other things, and it didn't.
He wasn't. That wasn't him, though. Smithy wasn't him.
It was close to him.
Not really. He was like the sort of like like London Cockney geezer that was going out every night and like Smithy, and that wasn't really what he was like, or is like, because he said it in interviews. He's like, it's a little bit annoying being associated with that kind of character, and like lads especially would be coming up to him in the street assuming that he was like that guy off camera, and he's like not. But anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, Peaky Blinders does seem to be one of those shows that I assume people in Britain do watch, but not like as much as they seem to in North America. And everyone is, because also I should say, Peaky Blinders is set in the early 20th century up north in Birmingham, and to say that is what like the rest of Britain is in modern day 2020 is not exactly the most accurate statement in the world.
I'm fine with that being like the appearance.
So basically, we're all basically all early 20th century Brummie coal miners.
I think that's a funny image to put out to the world.
Oh, that's another thing. For the love of God, don't ever use the nicknames of anyone in Britain.
No,
it's Scouse is perfectly fine. What are you talking about?
Scouser, Brummie, Manc, Geordie, none of it. None of that gets translated
Scousers
over
don't
here.
care about being called Scousers.
Oh no! But I mean, if you use it, if you describe someone like as a Scouser,
they're a Scouser. They're from Liverpool.
Yeah, but they don't know that. So, like, I was in my British module for history. Oh, this is another thing. So, I'm currently taking this semester or term a module on British history post Second World War, but obviously it's being taught in Canada. And I am one of only 2 British blokes in the class, and we are getting into an awful lot of translationary issues because at one point we referenced the Beatles, and I just, just off on a whim, just turned around and went,
Scousers.
Well, I just turned around and said, yeah, well, I didn't say that, but they certainly wouldn't have got that. But
well, no, that's
yeah.
the correct terminology. Everyone from Liverpool is dirty because I'm from Manchester.
Exactly.
No, I'm not from Manchester.
I said, yeah, they're the biggest Scousers on earth. And then the people in front of me like turned around to me and were like, what? And I was like, never mind. Turning around and saying about Scousers, though, I did have I was at a Halloween party last term, and when the house party I was at heard that they had a British guy in, they automatically all started to try to claim some sort of British heritage, which I found very bizarre. One girl came up to me and said something like, "Oh, my auntie's from Liverpool," and she was like, so I was like, "Oh, your auntie's a Scouse?" And she was like, and she like started to proudly say, like, "Yeah, my auntie's a Scouser," like, yeah. And I was like, "Trust me, love, you go back home and say that, you are not going to get anywhere."
No one cares if you're a Scouser.
Exactly, but not only that, but it's not like anyone's going to be like really happy if you are like, "I'm a Scouser." Okay.
Yeah,
with an American accent, that's going to real good. That's going to go down perfectly.
Well, yeah, it's going to go down real well, especially if you're in Manchester.
Yeah. There's one that you did touch on, which is Brummie. Which even in this country, people get confused when I say that my family's from the Black Country.
Oh, my mate Jess from Swansea, she gets very territorial over the fact that she doesn't have a Brummie accent. She has a Black Country accent, and there is a goddamn difference.
There is a difference. And the difference is that the Black Country accent is just more annoying than the Brummie accent.
I mean, I wouldn't tell her that, but...
I mean, you just shoot her a text, just like, tell her, "Oh, my friend says that your accent's more annoying than the Birmingham accent."
Yeah, FYI, my mate says that your Black Country accent is worse than the Brummie accent.
All of my cousins have a Black Country accent.
Or thick Brummie accent? Oh, sorry, Black Country accent?
Yes, really thick.
Oh, no.
Because my granddad's side is predominantly from the Black Country. He moved he was in Birmingham, and he has a Brummie accent, or had a Brummie accent before he died.
Birmingham.
Yeah, like that. But I couldn't hear it.
They all sound like Russell Brand.
No.
Fair enough, then.
You have to, this is the thing with accents, is that if you're around them enough, you realise that, that's the really, really extreme side.
Yeah, I mean, it is, yeah. It's like watching Big Brother.
It's very played up. That's actually not the full Brummie accent.
It's like watching Big Brother for the Geordie accent. Dear 34, and they all try to kill each other.
Oh, God. Oh, he's the guy who just takes me out.
He is, actually, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're in North America and wanted to learn the accents, basically watch Peaky Blinders or listen to Russell Brand for a Brummie accent. Can you think of anyone else for a Brummie accent? I can't think of the top of my head.
If you see my granddad, just
Stalk his family, his extended Stalk Lewis's extended family.
Oh God, don't do
that. If you want to do Scouser accents, just listen to Stephen Gerrard or someone, or listen to the Beatles. Well, not nowadays because they've lost a lot of their accent, but
well, I mean, John Lennon's lost most of his accent, if not all of it.
Oh god!
Let's be fair, so is the real Paul McCartney.